address that the reason we were on the schedule initially that we have been on, not only because it is our compliance deadline, but the council asked that we proceed in a fiscally responsible way by having the dollars set aside to be able to pay for it when it was installed without borrowing. If we accelerate the timeline, that may not be possible. We don't have enough cash in the bank, if you will, to pay for the system completely right now. So that is why we, not only was it our deadline set by the state, but it was a timeline in which the existing rate structure basically would help support, pay for that project. So again, there's lots of things to look at, budget being one. The existing budget doesn't allow us to construct it this year by any means, but we can, again, work through those. This is merely just an opportunity to let you know that your city staff is working hard and looking at options that will help you not only in the short term, the midterm, but the long term as well.
Mayor, we'll turn it over to the council.
I'm sitting here going through the questions. The number one question that the people in this town would like to have answered is, what does the city plan to do to compensate for hospital stays, for loss of work, for damages done to businesses, or any of this?
Well, that'll be in the end, that'll be a council decision. We have talked to the folks that insure the city, and we don't have a no-fault policy. We have policies that cover us for everything. We have policies that cover us for, having an auto accident. We have a policy to cover us for if a city employee goes out and is neglectful or reckless or something like that. We have policies, but we do not have a no-fault policy. So we can't, the insurance won't accept claims for interruption of business or emergency room visits, but that's as far as it goes for me. I administrate that, and in the end, if there's something worked out in the community, that'll be a council decision.
The other question that seems to be pretty prevalent in these is, why wasn't the community notified sooner? Like we have the reverse 911 in order, and that could have gone out in a very short time.
Yeah, and so hopefully when I went over my timeline, that answered a lot of those questions. The thing that we didn't know on Wednesday is what the source of the cryptosporidium was. So we wanted to err on the side of letting people know that there were, folks getting sick in the community for cryptosporidium, but, we had no idea what the source was because we hadn't done the tests on the city water. So we wanted to get the information out. We got it to the paper that day. We put it on the website. We put it on the television. I've heard some criticism that we didn't go door to door, but we got the information out to as many people as fast as we could. And then as soon as we found out that we had cryptosporidium in the drinking water, whether that was what was making people sick or not, we used the reverse 911, and it's great, but it's not a panacea because I think in the end, we only ended up contacting about, I think it was 58% of the people we called. So it'll call out, and I think it might try it 2 or 3 times, and then eventually it just gives up on the household. So when we did do the reverse 911, the day we found out that there was cryptosporidium in the drinking water, we reached out and we were able to get a hold, and we used the geographic area of just Baker City. And so we were able to reach 58% of the people who either had phones in the directory or had signed up with code red on their cell phones.
No, I never received it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did, Michelle mentioned to me, code red is do we have a sheet? Okay,
So if you want to sign up for Reverse 911 or Code Red, if you are not currently on there or you would like to add your cell phone to that, you can go to their website, baker911.org, and the main page, it says Code Red, and you just click on that, add your name, address, and your phone number, and so the next time that is utilized, you can even do a test call, and it will call your phone to make sure that it was registered correctly. So again, maybe all of you have done that, but if you haven't, please utilize that. Again, it's baker911.org.
we have talked about utilizing that. Say we get some clean samples, and whenever it happens, we can take the boil water advisory off. We're talking about using that again to let people know that the boil water advisory is off. So if you're interested in that, sign up for it.
One of the biggest problems with letting people know is in the beginning, we had no idea where it was coming from. We just got through with the miners jubilee and different events in town. It could have been a food vendor that came for that. When we met with the state health department, there could have been 50 different sources as to where the contamination was coming from. Because of the timeline on coming down with the illness, we felt that, or the city staff felt that it could have been the Goodrich Reservoir, so it was immediately shut off. As the test results are coming in, it looks like maybe the Goodrich Reservoir isn't the source. So it was hard to notify the public as to what the source was. There was no clear source at that time. And did you have some questions?
I do. I think this is a great time for council questions. I did have a question for Mr. Goss. So you stated that in order to lift the boil order, we're looking for 2 consecutive samples showing 0 OSIS from currently used sources, in addition to 2 consecutive samples showing 0 OSIS from 3 or more other sources in the watershed. Did I hear that right?
No, the last part was 3 locations in the distribution system.
I see.
We
Okay.
want to make sure there's no more cysts detected in the distribution system. So we need 0 detect results from the watershed sources that are in use and the distribution.
So like post-treatment
Correct.
is the distribution system.
Yeah,
Okay.
down in town
So we heard the list of samples, and that they're Goodrich tested with 2 OSIS, Shop tested with 3, Little Mill Creek 1, and some of these others that have single-digit OSIS.
now. Yes.
So I guess my question is the 2 consecutive samples showing 0 OSIS from currently used sources, is that likely to happen? I mean, it sounds like most often some OSIS exists in systems. And so is it likely to happen if we take these measures? Are we likely to get those results?
Okay, well, if we go back to the samples that were collected in 2010 and 2011, 21 of the 24 samples showed 0 cysts. So, the majority of those samples showed 0 cysts. So we think it can happen again. That may be the normal state is 0, but you're right, it may take some length of time before the streams flush themselves out enough naturally and get rid of those cysts. But those, the requirement to have tests with 0 cysts, it's conservative, it's safe. Our state epidemiologist was really critical in helping make that a requirement, because the exact number of cysts it takes to make someone sick is not really clearly known. And really, to make sure the contamination event is over, it would take 0 cysts to make our staff and epidemiologists comfortable to lift the boil.
So it sounds like we're talking possibly weeks to flush that out?
It's really hard for me to speculate on the length of time. Best case, I believe there were more samples collected today. No, well, in the next day or two, more samples will be collected. The second set, we want at least a day apart. It could be as early as middle or end of next week. It could be much longer. You're right, but I can't speculate. It could be a considerable length of time longer.
Another question that seems to be a real problem is...
Mayor, can I just follow up?
Yes.
Staff plans on continuing the conversations with Oregon Health Authority, and staff plans on coming up with a city plan that we can, talk back and forth with, and maybe continue to, find a better resolution for this. In the past testing, we didn't test the diversions. We tested the water as it was combined and came into the treatment plant. So we don't really have the baseline on the creeks. For eternity, there could have been oocysts in those creeks, and we'll just never clean it up. So we want to continue to work with Oregon Health Authority and try to find maybe I understand the concern for safety, because we have that also. We don't want to tell people to stop boiling water and then have people start getting sick again. But, we know from our testing in 2010 that we had a baseline, small amount of oocysts then, but we never checked the diversions. We knew they were at the treatment plant. We never checked in town. So we're going to come up with another plan and submit that to Oregon Health Authority, and at least just keep talking to them.
Thank you. Another question that seems to be a real problem in these is, why doesn't the city continually test the water? The city does continually test water every week. The problem is that the state does not require the cryptosporidium to be part of the test. And up till now, every time we have looked for it, we have found very, very small amounts, way smaller than anyone needed to worry about. So the water tests, and Goodrich Reservoir was tested before it was put online, but it wasn't tested for cryptosporidium. That's why we weren't sure when this outbreak started if it was that or not. Another question that is coming up is the way you treat for the cryptosporidium is UV, or the way you kill it is with UV lighting. Cryptosporidium is a relatively new requirement by the state to kill in the water systems. Up until just a short time ago, just a few years ago, I understand they didn't even have the technology to find it. But now that they've found it, they want it out of it. And the city has complied with all of the state requirements, and we are online to get it in online here before the state didn't require it. Obviously now with our new problem, we're going to